ladies and gentlemen. I'm P. Shravan Kumar, the founder of SK Associates and Group, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to our conference 3.8 today, wherein we'll explore the topic Role of Corporate Social Responsibility in Entrepreneurial Ventures in collaboration with our esteemed brand partners, BMS Institute of Technology and Management, Bangalore, represented by Dr. Mohan Babujian, Principal, Moti Babu Institute of Technology, Bihar, represented by Mr. Utkarsh Kumar, Training and Placement Officer, Sanskriti University Mathura, represented by Shri Puran Singh, Registrar, SVKM's Usha Praveen Gandhi College, Mumbai, represented by Dr. Anju Kumar, Principal, Shri Vishwakarma Skill University, Palwal, represented by Professor Jyoti Rana, Registrar, St. Paul's Institute of Professional Studies, Indore, represented by Sister Dr. Alice Thomas, Principal, Sri Ramakrishna Degree and PG College, Nandyal, represented by Dr. G. Ramakrishna Reddy, Principal, TRC Mahavidyalay, Barabanki, UP, represented by Dr. Ravi Shankar Tripathi, Dean and HOD, Sandeep University, Nashik, represented by Mr. Suraj Jha, Training and Placement Officer, Maris Stella College, Vijayawada, represented by Dr. Sister Jacinta Quadras, Principal, and Bombay College of Pharmacy, represented by Dr. Vaishali Shirsak, HOD and Dean. And last but not the least, we also have Valley State College from Nepal, represented by Dr. Baburam Khanal, Principal. We would also like to extend our thanks to our esteemed media partners, namely Hind Chakra Media, Bihar, Daily Hunt, Republic News India, Flipboard, rdtimes.in, The Indian Bulletin, Indian Sentinel, Abhyuday Times, News Outlook, National Age, Times Bulletin, Prevalent India, The Fortune India, Pioneer News, India Influencer, Indian Scoops, Bharat Herald, Youth News Express, The Telegraph News, News Mint 24, IT India Thrive, Hindustan Saga, My Maharashtra, BharatMirror.com, India News 24, News Streamline, ScrollNews.in, RKD Live, Press Journal, Newshead.in, Telangana Post, Metro City News, The National Reader, and lastly, Let India Shine for the collaboration, support, and helping us deliver this session on an international scale. Thus, moving forward, we would also like to extend our thanks and greetings to our legal partners, Advocate Ramashankar Tiwari from Allahabad High Court, Senior Advocate Shishir Kumar Saxena ji from Supreme Court of India, Senior Advocate Bala Kumar ji from AP and Telangana High Court, Advocate Krush P. Anthony ji from Kerala High Court, Advocate Vikas Kumar Dangi ji from Delhi and Haryana High Court, Advocate Kiran Rajendra Makhare ji from Maharashtra High Court, Advocate Agam Shah ji from Ahmedabad High Court, Advocate Anand R. Biranwar ji from Karnataka High Court, and lastly, Senior Advocate Pramod Kumar Singh ji from Delhi and Patna High Court. We are honored to have a panel of accomplished CEOs, founders, co-founders, company secretaries, chartered accountants, and industry leaders, startup mentors, and academicians as our guest speakers today. By the end of this conference, we hope you will gain valuable insights into this crucial area.
So, hello everyone. I'm Advocate Haripriya Ipuri, Shravan's co-host for the conference 3.8. It's my pleasure to co-host this conference with Shravan sir.
So before we delve into our topic for today, let me briefly introduce SK Associates and Group. SK Associates and Group is a Tier 1 startup consultancy that is ISO certified and registered under the MSMED Act 2006 with the Government of India. Our mission is to provide consulting services to student entrepreneurs globally, covering areas such as compliance, operations, marketing, R&D, human capital, strategy, and operations. Our passion lies in helping these budding entrepreneurs bring their dreams to life and contribute to global economic growth.
So at SK Associates and Group, we take pride in offering tailor-made solutions to our clients. A team of transformational consultants has a deep-rooted passion for entrepreneurship, and they bring extensive experience and expertise to every project. Over the past 3 years, we have built a network of 5,000 individuals from 30 plus countries and representing diverse universities, industries, and functional roles as well.
Exactly, Haripriya. Our ultimate goal is to assist 600 million students in in India by providing pro bono consulting services in areas such as strategy, operations, human capital, compliance, legal advisory, research and development, taxation, and marketing. We also plan to invest 500 crores USD in their startups by 2035, creating more than 5,000 plus employment opportunities for startup experts, advisors, mentors, and research scholars. Our vision is to contribute to global economic growth by empowering the next generation of iconic organizations.
So, collaborations and strategic alliances are the key to achieve our mission, right? So, we are committed to promoting entrepreneurship development and community impact with a focus on empowering students for global economic growth. We aim to partner with over 1,000 plus universities and colleges by 2030 and providing guidance and mentorship to the students as they embark on their startup journey.
The enthusiasm and interest we see among students for entrepreneurship is truly inspiring. Startups actually have the potential to address critical social, economical, and geopolitical challenges through innovative business models. By promoting sustainable entrepreneurship, we can drive positive change and create a brighter future for all. Entrepreneurs not only generate job opportunities but also stimulate economic growth and offer innovative solutions to day to day consumer needs and foster collaboration with other businesses. We have witnessed remarkable success stories, just remarkable, wherein entrepreneurs have tackled issues such as climate change, waste management, education, and many more.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship is a catalyst for change and innovation. It's a powerful force that can reshape industries, transform lives, and make the world a better place. We are committed to support our students, entrepreneurs on their journey, equipping them with the tools, knowledge, and network that they need to succeed.
At SK Associates and Group, we are immensely grateful for the dedicated support of our executive management team, including Ms. Vaishali Shri, Head of Human Resources, Ms. Aditi Jain, Chief Strategic Alliance Advisor, Ms. Pooja Kumari, Organizational Development Coordinator, and Ms. Rima Kumari, Employee and Customer Relationships Coordinator, and Mr. Faiz Siddiqui, our Public Relations Manager. The unwavering commitment has played a pivotal role in our growth and development. Thanks to their dedication, we can at least make a meaningful impact on the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem by inspiring, educating, and mentoring young individuals, encouraging them to pursue entrepreneurship instead of a regular corporate career. Now, before we dive into our discussions, let's take a moment to introduce our esteemed lineup of guest speakers for today and tap into the wealth they bring to the table.
So our first speaker of the day is CS Sakesh Jaiswal. Is a company secretary by profession and is working as a deputy manager, corporate secretarial with Spandana Spurti Financial Limited, a microfinance institution listed with the BSc and NSC, having more than 5 years of experience in the secretarial domain, with his first stint as a management trainee with ITC Limited. He has been a member of Public Relations Committee with the Institute of Company Secretaries of India as well. So he is a keen corporate company secretary with keenness to businesses and entrepreneurship.
Our second speaker of the day is none other than Mr. Ali Muhammad Usmani, an AMU consultant with 360-degree business solutions. Having done his master's in economics and finance and an MBA in marketing, Mr. Ali Muhammad Usmani has over 20 years of experience in management roles in textile industry, stock brokerage houses as an advisor, and at present he is serving in Hafiz Limited as a company secretary and CEO at AMU Consultant 360-degree Business Solutions. During a course of tenure, he works under top management in assisting board of directors and the management of the company in managing departmental tasks, strategic development, liaison roles, and regulatory compliances.
Next up, we have our final speaker, CS Kiran Goklani, uh, a company secretary having more than 8 years of industry experience, currently having her own firm which provides company secretarial, legal, and trademark related consulting services. She has worked with Device, Autotech Nonwovens, and Mehta and Mehta PCS firm in the past. She is a visiting training faculty at Surat chapter of ICSI and also an author for a few published articles as well.
Welcome everyone, and it's an honor to have you all here with us. Our expertise and your expertise combined adds a special dimension to our conference, making it a unique and insightful gathering. Now, before we begin this conference, we would like to request all of you to kindly switch on your respective webcams and ensure that we have a two-way interaction because एक तरफा प्यार तो ऐसे भी कहीं पहुंचता नहीं है ना उसकी मंजिल होती है तो obviously let's have a two-way interaction and make it very interactive. So now I would also like to inform you all that our HR team will be conducting calls in the chat box throughout the conference to ensure that you actively participate in them and gain the most out of this. So moving ahead, I would like to invite our first speaker for today, CS Sanket Jaiswal, and request him to commence his speech and share his insights.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks, Mr. Shravan and Haripriya, for such a lovely introduction and having us on this panel to have a discussion on CSR. So, since we have a good number of participants with us already, around 40, I think these are keen people who would like to have insights on CSR. So, before having insights, what I would like to put forward the audience is, see, CSR applicability comes to a company from a legal angle. When we refer to Companies Act or when we refer to SEBI regulations, which states that we need to have CSR in place, CSR policy in place, and then subsequently CSR committee and board will do CSR activities based on the recommendations from the committee. So considering the regulatory aspects, we all means the companies which are required to comply with CSR obligations, those companies comply. But see, complying is not the only soul of it is not the only purpose of CSR provisions which are put forward by the regulators. Complying in letter and spirits is very much important. See, we as a student, we must have done courses like here we have many people like company secretaries, legal guys, or we might have chartered accountants in this meeting. We have studied for a course, for example, but studying is not important. Presenting is also important. See, CSR is applicable to business houses. So what do business houses do? They do business. So एक हो गया कि हमको applicability है and we are just complying. एक हो गया to present to the stakeholders how we are complying with this. So I thought everyone will be talking about compliances and all. I thought, how can we take it to the reporting angle? How can we do it? So when we talk about CSR or we do talk about something good, सबसे पहला नाम आता है with all remembrance to Sri Ratan Tata Motors. Correct? Everyone will agree to this. So subsequently, we have Bill Gates Foundation. If we talk about international borders, we have Reliance Foundation. If we talk about foundation coming from Ambani family. So ये हम भी CSR कर रहे हैं. Our company also does CSR. Every company does CSR क्योंकि applicable है. नहीं होगा तो बहुत लोग नहीं करेंगे. सिंपल सी बात है. अगर कोई रिलैक्सेशन मिल जाएगा तो हम फट से रिलैक्सेशन ले लेंगे. सिंपल सी बात है. सो बट जब हमको कंप्लाई, ठीक है, वो ह्यूमन नेचर को है कि हमको एप्लीकेबल है तो विल डू. इफ इट इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल विल नॉट डू. बट इफ वी आर डूइंग इट, हाउ शुड वी प्रेजेंट so that other companies are also motivated in that way. Okay, so अगर हम reporting angle से देखते हैं, if we see the annual reports of companies, we can see the returns on CSR that are put in place, where we can see how much as per the section 135, how much it is required for us to spend, how much has been utilized. वो सब angle लिखा रहता है. But how other companies are presenting, that we have to see. For that, I'll be sharing screen. Is it possible for me to share screen?
Yeah, sure. I would like to request Ms. Vaishali Shri to kindly authorize the screen sharing option. Yeah, it's provided, Sanket.
Yeah. See, I'll not go much technical, but I'll go only Yeah. So is my screen visible? I think my screen is visible.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, nothing. We'll just go to Tata Motors. Okay. I just went to Tata Motors, and after going to Tata Motors annual report, we can see all the disclosures relating to annual report is enclosed herein. But if we go specifically to the report on CSR, we can see how streamlined they have done in their CSR activities. See, for example, number of CSR projects they have taken only five, only five. One is of health, the other is of education. This is for employability, one is for environment, and one is rural development. But if we go through each of the CSR activities, one fine activity that we can find here is ITI partnership and allied auto trades, motor mechanic vehicle, training in retail hospitality, white goods repair, agriculture, allied services. See how CSR, how Tata Motors are not only doing CSR, but also they are teaching people. They are through this CSR activity, they are also creating new employees, or they are creating new employability opportunities for people which can indirectly help their own business. Tata is into motors, so they are providing auto related this CSR activity. So this is helping them indirectly. Similarly, if you go to Reliance, Reliance has got an exhaustive CSR reporting of 30 pages. It was not required to have this much of disclosures, but it has got its own vision, its future plan, the table of contents showing every other CSR activity where they are touching. So uh, my intention on this today's session is not only that we should comply and do, but how we should present. For example, if we go to top 10 impactful CSR projects in India, we have got CSR activities from SBI Youth, from Mahindra Group, and from Vedanta Group. Every other company is doing a CSR project, CSR activity. But these are the impactful CSR activities that are done not only to have it as an activity, but to have it as an impactful activity. If we take the fine case of Gates Foundation, they are also doing CSR activity. So it is not that they are doing only limited to what the regulator has asked them. They are doing more than that. So giving more to any CSR activity and how we should present them to the stakeholders can not only help in the CSR activity, but also help our company grow. We can choose activities like activities which can help which can help the company only indirectly. Suppose we are a financial company, and I am choosing an CSR activity which relating to education in financial planning. So indirectly, that will benefit to me only if I teach someone, Ram or Sham, how financial planning is done. He will go and tell his mother. See, our company is into microfinance, lending to women who are keen to do business. Suppose Ram and Sham, we are teaching them, going and teaching them. They're going to the mothers or sisters and educating them about personal finances or business finances. Indirectly, when their parents or mothers or sisters, whoever would need finance, they will come to us only directly. So this is how it should work. It should work as an ecosystem. That is only my point regarding CSR. I'd like to conclude with this.
Yeah. Although that was quite a short presentation, Sanketji, that was quite beautiful in the way you actually went into annual reports and showed us out here. Especially when Tata Group has got a like reputation for CSR, and that's the reason it's one of the Fortune 500 company. That's really beautiful. I would like to ask you a simple question before we actually, 2 to 3 questions before we actually open the panel for questions out here. Okay? So the first thing is, since we have many aspiring entrepreneurs out here in this meeting, the first question I would like to ask you as a company secretary is, because लोगों को कई बार लगता है कि compliance is not necessary. So would you like to just like elaborate what are the consequences of non-compliance with CSR for private limited as well as public listed companies?
So there is a popular thing that we say: if you think compliance is expensive, try non-compliance. Everyone in the panel can also agree to that. If you think compliance is expensive, try non-compliance. See, first of all, as a business, we should not think कि non-compliance होगा तो क्या. We should think everything in a compliance point of view. आज मेरी कंपनी को सेल करना है या मुझे फंड रेस करना है, एवरीथिंग विल बेस्ड ऑन कंप्लायंसेस ओनली. दो चीज देखते हैं, या तो फाइनेंशियल्स या तो any.
Yeah, Sanket, your screen is getting stuck. If you can just check on your internet connection once. Yeah, am I audible, Sanket ji?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it fine now? Yeah, is it fine now?
Yeah, you're audible, Sanket ji. Please continue.
Yeah. So I was on the point that we should not think that CSR नहीं करेंगे तो क्या होगा, because अगर हमें 1 लाख का CSR करना है, and if we skip doing it for 5 continuous years, somewhere we will get caught off. The penalty of not doing CSR we'll have to pay 10 times of what we avoided 5 times. When any non-compliance, देखिए कंपनीज एक्ट वगैरह में तो लिखा हुआ है, everything is written in companies act that what are the consequences, what are the fines and penalties for non-compliance. But imagine in a situation when we are doing non-compliance for a consecutive term of say 5 years or 6 years or 3 years, those cases goes to the hands of the regulator, and उस समय जो फाइन्स आता है, that you must be aware, because Shravan ji, you are also handling many company cases, I believe. So a daily basis you can see how many fines and penalties are put together to the companies. Also there is a red dot in the company's name. So if a company wants to grow, if a company just wants to be a company, उसके लिए तो कुछ बोलने को है नहीं, there's nothing to say about. But if a company wants to grow through fundraising or through other growth strategies, it has to comply with every regulation.
That's Sanket ji, I also had another question. Since the discussion topic for today is role of CSR and entrepreneurial ventures, and when we are talking of startups, actually, okay. So the first major issue is the startups might have a high revenue. That is something that could be listed as a criteria for them to start having CSR activities compulsory, according to Companies Act. But however, at the same time, we see that in 70% plus startups, इनका जो नेट प्रॉफिट रेशियो है, इट्स ऑलवेज लोअर देन 50%. You're getting it? So maybe that certain startups might not actually want or have the willingness to spend on CSR because they believe कि उनका जो रेवेन्यू है वो बहुत हाई है, but however उनका जो नेट प्रॉफिट है वो बहुत लो है, प्रॉफिट मार्जिन्स लो. So what would you like to advise such entrepreneurs?
I would like to advise that CSR is not dividend.
Point.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
तो ऐसा नहीं है कि डिविडेंड के केस में a company has a choice whether it wants to give dividend or it wants to plow all the profits back to the company and make it grow. Here we don't have choice. Here CSR the concept of CSR has been put together by regulator for some reason. The reason is we are taking from the society and we should give back to the society. If there will be no obligation, no company will give back to the society. Only few companies like Tata's will give back to the society.
Oh, that's the point. Because
Yeah.
Tata even is contributing to Jamshedpur, as far as I can see, as a Jamshedpurian myself. It has been contributing
Oh,
from something around 1900s. And even
yeah,
when
yeah,
they
yeah.
had, like they didn't have a proper building of their own or a proper setup like they are having right now, purifying, industrial, everything set up there. They still
Yeah,
tried to
yeah.
build out a temporary hospital that is right now called as TMH. So actually, CSR does
Okay.
contribute, and startups have actually given a lot. So that's the point. My last question to you, if I'm not already irritating you, is like
No, no, no.
as we are saying, talking about startups in specific. So we see that multiple times pay. Apart from CSR, startups do not comply with labor laws too. For instance,
Mm-hmm.
people or women on their maternity are also working in a regular mode. They are
Yeah.
traveling, and at multiple times, people are just terminated from their positions without any compliance of regulations as needed, even according to contracts or MOUs. So, what's your take on that?
My take on that is those activities are very unethical and those should not be done. But since it is happening already and we are aware, mm, my take on that is we should be aware. We as an employee should be aware. We should know which are the right courts that can be visited or which are the right consultants whom can we approach through whom the work can be done. Like for example, अगर कहीं पे maternity leave पे problem आ रहा है and there's a big problem, you already said, so we have to find out consultants or courts. Simple. As a layman, I'll not be able to visit courts, so I have to go through a consultant. So proper education should be there in place in whom to visit. बाकी क्या करना है वो देख लेंगे. These companies will not teach employees whom to visit when there is an issue because companies are only doing that. So maybe you can take up this sometime that.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, now my questions are done. I would like to invite Ms. Haripriya to put forward any questions that she has.
Yeah, sure. So, Sanket just also, I think my question is how can startups navigate this legal complexities of public-private partnerships in CSR programs? And what should they be aware in the terms of legal compliances? Could you throw some light on that? That would be great for all the young aspirants as well.
So you want to know about how it is done through external agencies?
Yeah, exactly. Or during the public-private partnerships.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
will that
So,
be?
as we know that CSR can be done by companies directly or through CSR agencies, implementation agencies. So first legality that we have to check is whether the CSR implementation agency is duly registered. It will have a registration code if it is registered. If we are doing something without a registered CSR implementation agency, whatever we do may not be valid, may not be turned out to be valid. The first criteria that we should do when we are doing it through public private partnership is check that they are eligible to do such CSR activities. Number two, we should properly have a MOU with them. Every CSR, every company which is doing CSR activity through implementation agency does have a MOU where we have to define our do's and don'ts. Defining do's and don'ts are very important. And number three, we should have a separate escrow account in place where where authorities of both the CSR implementation agencies and the authority of the company are provided. It should have a maker and checker concept, and it should have an approver concept. Without three layers of approvals, we should not be going forward to do any expenditure on CSR. Is what I believe are 3 points from my end.
Oh, God. That's a great answer. That's all the questions from my end so far. Thank you,
Okay.
CS Sanket Jaiswalji, for the wonderful speech. Thank you so much.
Sure, sure. I would like to invite the audience to put forth their questions, if any. Anyone who has questions may simply raise your hand and ask one by one. Believe we have multiple entrepreneurs in this meeting. As I can see, Shubhendu ji, Sandeep ji, seeing you after a long time although. No questions out here? Yeah, Umesh has a question.
Sir,
Hi, Umesh.
hi sir. Good evening,
Good evening.
sir. Uh, my question is how much the cost company take to do CSR? How much?
Cost.
Yeah. If I have a company, so how much percentage of my turnover I will be spending on CSR?
See, we have got three criterias to decide whether companies will have to do CSR activities or not. It is basis of turnover, net profit, and net worth. Companies having turnover of 1,000 crore rupees or more, net profit of 5 crores or more, and net worth of 500 crores of more. If any of the three criterias, apply, then we have to do CSR activity for 2% of average of net profits for the last 3 years. Regulators have specified the formulas which we have to use to calculate how much we are going to spend. It doesn't depend, the criteria triggers upon the turnover, but calculation is done through net profit. Suppose if you have got 3 years of net profit, 10, 10, 10 crores, if you divide it by 3, 10, 10, 10, it gets 3. Then 2% of 10, I think 20 lakhs. You have to do 20 lakhs of CSR activity. The formula is simply defined. We have to not go other way around. It is simple. But if you come to the question that where we have to do CSR activities, it is specifically described in Section 135 of Companies Act, read with Schedule 7. So activities only defined in CSR in Schedule 7 can be taken up while doing CSR activities. We cannot do any CSR activity. We cannot do advertisement through CSR activity. Suppose you have a firm, Umesh Deshmukh and Company. We cannot do an activity where you are promoting your firm. So we have to take those considerations and guidelines into picture while doing CSR activities.
Although Sanket ji, I believe ki even when firms do CSR nowadays, also it might be unethical. But I have seen multiple firms advertising their names. Blood camp ho ya fir anything. I have seen them all. Yeah. We have a question in the chat box too. Sanket ji, if you can just read it out.
Could you please discuss any recent changes in company strategy? Yeah, that is a very good question, Naidu ji. But since this question is relating to my company, I won't be able to do any discussion because as per recently amended SEBI LODR, we cannot
Yeah.
discuss on an open platform anything with relating to company without prior permission of the board.
No issues. We have a question from CSP Doleshwar Rao too. I guess.
Hi, Doleshwarji. What is the impact of a company which failed to spend CSR amount in Schedule 7? I'm not aware of the exact penalty and obligations, but we can surely check from the provision. And
Sure, sure. We have two questions from Debayan and Isha. Debayan, you may mute yourself and begin.
Good evening, Mr. Jaiswal. My question is,
Evening.
what primary challenges can a firm face while implementing CSR activities in a country like India, which is so diverse from region to region?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Actually, we always speak about we can do this, we can do that, but what are the challenges? The major challenge what we face is identifying which activity we want to go into. कि क्या activity करना है? There are list of activities that are prescribed by the regulators that we can do, but what activities, choosing the right activity is very much important. It is just like choosing the first job when you're out of your training. So
Right.
identifying the right activity, to identify the right activity, we have to first make a good CSR policy. Making a good CSR policy, उससे क्या होगा? We can align what activity we are going to choose. We can align that with our business strategy. For example, what I showed for Tata Motors, it was doing one activity relating imparting education for motor training. So पांच
Okay.
activities है.
Great.
ठीक है, one is for health, one is for environment. Okay, so one activity it has put for motor training only. Choosing the right activity is the primary challenge that we should address.
That's great.
Right.
Uh,
Thank you, sir.
we have Isha Jaiswal. You may please unmute yourself. Isha ji.
I am so sorry. There is a network lag at my end, but I would like to continue. You can just take another question. By then, I'll just recover my network, please.
Sure, sure, sure.
Thank
Srilekha
you.
ji, you may ask a question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Srilekha. I'm a company secretary as well. So my question is that, as we all know, ESG, that is environmental social governance, is also an emerging topic. So I wanted to know, like, how is CSR related to ESG, and what is the major distinguish? I mean, like, what's the major difference between both of them, and or the applicability?
With respect to ESG, CSR and ESG can be interlinked, and that can both can work hand in hand is what I believe. When I say hand in hand, if we see CSR activities, we have got certain CSR activities that are defined by law that a company can take up. So if we go into environment and social aspect, what I feel that both can go hand in hand. For example, if a company wishes to address ESG concerns, a company can choose activities which can align with ESG concerns.
So my question is that ESG is only applicable to top 1,000 listed companies, right? So if a company is already doing an ESG activity, then is it mandatory for them to even do CSR activity?
Yeah, CSR is compulsory. CSR activity arises from the requirement of Companies Act, and those have got separate criterias upon the applicability of which we have to do CSR.
Okay. I mean, if the company is already doing an ESG activity, can they show the same as CSR, or is it mandatory for them to do a CSR activity separately?
No, a separate CSR activity is required
Okay.
because that comes up because a CSR requirement, gives several pointers to it, like having a separate CSR policy, having separate if you're doing implementing from your own self, or if you're implementing from your implementation process should be different. Accounting is different. So where every pointer is different with respect to ESG and CSR, both can go hand in hand, but the applicability are different, and both are different pillars of what we can consider.
Thank you.
That's great. Isha ji and Sandeep ji, if you can just put the questions first.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. And secondly, thank you, Sanket Jaiswal sir. It was an enlightening session. Though I'm not that much aware about the CSR activities that company do, but of course, I mean, so I also was working for my own startup once upon a time, and so the startup was in fashion and lifestyle domain. Okay, and I really wanted to take up some CSR activity, not by allocating just the funds, but also my initiative towards the society, which was kind of giving a platform for Pride community. Okay, giving a platform to Pride community, which also aligned with my lifestyle business, because it also incorporated all kinds of communities, caste, creed. It was never about different sexes, but it was more of uh, bringing equality to one platform. Okay, so how well is this idea aligning with the thoughts that you have put forward here?
See, Isha ji, I think you were pretty much on track with respect to implementation of CSR from your own self. First of all, you did implementation with even it was not applicable to you, even when regulatory angle was not applicable to you. Secondly, you tried to align it with your own business. Like you said, you were into fashion industry, and then you tried to align with LGBT or other communities. So whenever we speak about LGBT, fashion is also playing a very great role in promoting LGBT. So this idea was really nice, I could say. All that would have mattered how you were able to apply it and how good results you were able to get it, and at the end how satisfied you were the results. For example, if we
So
consider,
yes,
yeah,
I'm so sorry to interrupt. So usually Pride community, they have this tagline which they say is one love. Love is love and one love. So I straightforward went ahead for 1 month and made my tagline as one love fashion. With that, I try to tie up the community goals with mine and try to align. But my question, with the most important question, is I've seen many fashion forward brands who are doing this just for the sake of it, and then later they actually do not even care about the LGBTQ community. I felt really bad knowing such brands. So what do you have to say? Like, people just show some CSR activity towards such brands and then they just back off and they never show up till the time again the month Pride month arrives. So yeah.
yes, that is so correct. Actually, me and Sharvan ji, I mean, the host was also, we were also agreeing on the same point that, see, Isha ji, if we consider companies, if we consider corporates, so the regulator has imposed few activities we have to do for a CSR point of view. Now, you are having a company or a startup, you are doing it with your own intentions. So the big word here is intention only. When you were speaking about your CSR activity, we could feel the intention that you carried. So everything here is intention only. If we talk about Tata Group, it is not only CSR activities, it is intention backed CSR activity. So your point is very clear and clean. See, not only in fashion brands, but in any FMCG. If you go to FMCG company, if you go to oil companies, everyone has to do CSR activity. But which activities leave an impact? There are only rare activities which leave an impact.
Thank you
Exactly.
so much. Thank you so much for the appreciation, and thank you, sir, for arranging such a great
Sure, sure, sure.
session.
That was great having you,
Thank you,
Sanket
ma'am.
ji. Although we have a time constraint, we have to move forward. Sandeep ji, why don't you just type out a question in the chat box where Sanket ji can answer it? Okay, sure. I think Haripriya, we can move forward.
Now, moving ahead, let's welcome Mr. Ali Muhammad Usman sir, and I request him to commence speech.
Hello, hello. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, you're clearly audible.
It's just a small questions. Uh,
Sure.
Sanket sir,
Yeah, hi
kindly
Sandeep.
yeah. I am CS professional student, and I'm just asking, kindly provide some insight related to social impact in CSR, if you provide some insights.
Since we are having less time, I would like to quickly answer your question. I can understand the constraint of time. Social impact. What we understand from social impact is having impact on the social on society, is what is social impact is. Correct. So every CSR aims towards social impact only. The reason why it is known as corporate social responsibility. Everything that is done through CSR goes to society only. It has got social impact only. Now we should define that how much impact we want to create. If you go and Google and see top 10 CSR projects which have got social impact, you will find only few names like Vedanta, Tata, Reliance. So it is upon the company's goal how impactful you want to have your CSR policies with respect to society.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you.
Sure. Aliji, why don't you begin your speech? Sure.
Yeah. Are you getting my voice? Hello? Okay.
Yeah, you're
Hello,
clearly
namaste.
audible.
Okay. Hello, namaste, everyone, especially Sanskrit Jaswan. I have heard energetic discussion on this topic, and I really appreciate the way he
Thank you.
explained from the corporate circle to the local domain. So I'm from Pakistan. I have a different domain of corporate social responsibility as well. So to begin with the conversation, I would like to thank the panel, the SK Association Group for considering me this conference. So I begin with the conversation. Initially, I would like to explain in a chronological order, so it is better we can understand whether this is CSR activities is a phenomenal activity, compliance activity, or by default it is a built-in chip within ourselves to deliver these activities to the society. So let's begin with the concept of social responsibility. The social responsibility is what we call an attitude towards the society. A layman, a person who is living in the society, must has to deliver for the society because he is living in the society, surviving in the society, using the natural resources of the society. So against that, they have to pay off to the society in the chronological order irrespective to any benefit from what we are getting. Ultimately, the society, the people of the society, a community of the society is still delivering to you a breathing space to live on. So the prime concept of the social being is to be a social or be a simply human. Unless you don't be a human, you don't understand what the society needs from you. As the question has arisen from you, from the Sanskrit Jaswan, just why if someone is not compliant with the CSR. So I simply said that it is not a matter of compliance with CSR. It is our duty to comply with the CSR by default. Uh, so these are the things which first we have to understand. So unless we don't understand the phenomenal aspect of this social responsibility, it is far away to reach the target of CSR. So hopefully you get an idea. It is social ethical value towards the society to be a critical or crucial role in an effort to develop the society. Now, after getting the concept, I am explaining you that this is not a new concept for us to understand that in 1953, Bowen, or we can say that Frederick Williams has developed this concept to legitimize the concept in the corporate social responsibility, legitimize the concept of corporate social responsibility to the corporate sector. But it has a root since our origin. We have gone through various religious scriptures, dignified personalities, and all of them explain how well your attitude toward the society make the society breathable. Unless we don't understand these basic concepts, so CSR is a just concept which has a life of around 71 years, right? So, and I'm giving a breathing space of social responsibility around thousand years ago. So these are the things first we have to understand what the social responsibilities is. Then we move on to the corporate structure. once the corporate structure has been formed and we have to develop the corporate sector, and we are going to move on to utilizing the natural resources of the economy, society, and deliver the product for the society. So in the end, we must have to deliver for the society as well, because as we have, it is fortunately all the basic terms, whether it is a marketing, whether it is a corporate social responsibility, whether it is the managerial activities, fortunately, all these terms has been developed by the economists. And Howard Bowen, who is considered the father of the CSR, is also an economist. I have heard the Philip Kotler, who is the father of the marketing, recent marketing. So he also said that marketing is the field of economics. So unless we don't understand the economic parameter, we are unable to understand these concepts and apply properly. Because whenever there is a resources allocation in the economy, you have to adopt because resources are scarce, we have to put an effort to make these resources valuable and understand and utilize these resources properly for the betterment of the society. Now we have to move it on to the recent responsibility. Once you have got an idea that what is the social responsibilities and how when we have away from thousands of years ago, our Veda scriptures, our Arabic scriptures, or ancient scriptures, all have mentioned these responsibilities. Unless you don't understand or you don't fulfill these civic duties or civic responsibility, you are unable to move on a prosper ground, whether it is a nation, it is a community, it is a society, or it is a world. So we first understand the basic concept, and then what law says. Why law is made? Law is made to bind the people to adopt for the betterment of the people. If there is no law, definitely we by human as a greedy person, and we look after ourselves. So these are the things that's why in India, the Companies Act 2013 mentioned in section 135(1) that if you meet the certain criterion, you have to fulfill these obligations, which is considered the minimum amount or 2% of that amount, which is almost negligible. But we are living in a society, as Isha Jaswal said, that she has contributing, despite whether it is applicable or not, but I appreciate that she is contributing to the economy. It respects what the law says, but she is fulfilling what she thinks that which is good for the society. So let's move on to the topic. What are the basic responsibilities of the CSR activities in terms of text or research knowledge? There are 4 prime activities which the corporate sector must have to endorse. Number 1 is environmental activities. Number 2, ethical. Number 3, philanthropical activities. And number 4, the financial activities. These 4 prime activities, which is identified by the researchers that company must have to adopt these 4 sets of activity, whether they are giving a charity to the organization, welfare state to the organization, and something. Paying tax is also a CSR activity. If you are law-abiding citizen, law-abiding corporate sector, you must have to pay the tax to the government on a proper basis. Tax evasion is a heinous crime. So a lot of the people only focus on the corporate social responsibility, a voluntary aspects or something like that. They can say that develop the welfare or foundation culture, and lot of I have gone through various countries that there are a lot of manipulation behind these welfare activities. So apart from that, the corporate social responsibilities is not the facelifting activities, or you have to don't need to promote yourself. It is your duty it is a duty of the company to promote the economy or social sector as well. And I really think the Honorable Tata, Ambani, Sahara Group, everyone, they are doing these activities, and we are seeing the growth of these economy, because ultimately CSR activity enhance your brand image in front of the public if you are doing doing with the good deeds. So these are the basic aspect of the CSR. This is not a law-driven. I totally ridicule it that it is a law-driven, because it is our responsibilities and duties. How good we are to promote 2% of the 3 terms. Number 1, as per the Companies Act 2013 India, that section 135 guided that if your net worth is 500 crore, turnover is 1,000 crore, and revenue is 5 crore for consecutive 3 years, then you are obliged to pay 2% of that. What does it mean? 2% is not minimum amount. But if we are finding a ways how to avoid these 2%, this is a totally, I don't use a word. So we have to, for the betterment of the society, for the nature, we have to preserve the natural resources, because as an economist, I must say that natural resources are scared. It is depleted over the period of time. So if the industrialization hurt these natural resources, like water, trees, soil, and minerals, if there are any activities which hurt that, so you have to preserve it as well. Apart from these voluntarily activity or charitable activities, so if you don't look after these activities as well to preserve the society, animal, nature, forest, minerals, so these are also considered the criminal activities as well. So once we understand what are the social responsibility within ourselves, a built-in chipset which we have, and the religious dignified personality came here to explain how to activate this chip, and we are looking after the section 135 of the 35 one of the Companies Act 2013, how to comply or not to comply. So this is not a matter of concern. It is a matter of concern. You have to move it on with a proper pace. Your company is working in the society as a well-being of the society. You have to deliver to the society as well. You are gaining profit. The profit is not ultimate. It is a capitalist economy. If you are focusing on the profit, but if doing CSR activities within the economy for the people, like democracy, so you have to move it on and create a brand image, a good brand image for your company, not for your company, but as for on yourself as well. Like most of the people know about the Tata, but Ratan Tata, and we know that the Ambani group. So we know by the name as well. So these are the things which we have to understand and promote the economy with our good gesture. And final thing I would like to say, these activities as a economy, as a political system, we know not only in Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all over the world, the economic system is having some qualified person or not qualified person, but aligning with these activities with the government personnel, so it will help out the government as well. Criticizing the government act, or criticizing the XY bureaucrats, it is not ultimate solution. We have to play our role, then we have a right to criticize them. So these activities on the whole, as a whole, which is explained by the Bowen and the Frederick, the consequence is that you have to promote not only on single level, or you have to give the charity, or you have to have a philanthropist activities or financial activities, equal employment opportunity, but you have to preserve the natural resource, align the regulators, align the government and stakeholders, and for the prime objective is for the betterment of the community and the society as well. So these are the closing remarks for me, that we help not only our organization, we have to move it on, but we have to help it out the government, the stakeholders, the communities, the employees of the company. So this equal employment opportunities also come as the CSR activities. Any activity which is for the betterment of the society, resources, government. So these all are come under the vast umbrella of the CSR.
Exactly. That's quite a true point, Mohammed. That was excellent speech. Although I believe that we have a question waiting for you in the chat box while you were delivering your speech. We can just read it out.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, they are asking about the Companies Act 2017 and how does organization complies with these regulations. Actually, in Pakistan, Companies Act 2017 is not guiding as directly for the CSR activities. There is a code of corporate governance which is applied on the public sector companies as well on initial level. CS, Code of Corporate Governance 2019. They are guiding the companies to fulfill the requirement. As now, I am going to the other part of the which we call the ESG, Environment, Social, and Governance. So one part of the governance is we consider as a corporate social responsibility, the composition of the board, the diversity in the board, male-female proposition in the board. So these are also inline activities of the CSR activities in government company itself. Then corporate social responsibility drive the corporate sector. So you have to comply with and have a compliance statement along with the financial statement on the year end. So you have to edit on these activities with the financial statement signed by the separate auditor, not with the same auditor which audits the companies according to the Companies Act. So in Pakistan, the total structure is different. They are regulated by the Corporate Social Code of Corporate Governance 2019. And apart from that, Pakistan Stock Exchange is also have a set rule of these regulations. So yes, we are having a separate criteria for the corporate social responsibility, and which is managed by the independent auditor.
Exactly. That's a great point, actually. So,
Okay.
moving ahead, I would like to invite the audience to put forth their questions, if any. You may just raise your hands one by one and unmute yourself and speak yourself.
The question is the CSR initiative is most relevant entrepreneurial venture. Philanthropist, environmental, supply chain, employee volunteer program. Initially, when the startup come in the market, first of all, as the Sanskrit Jaiswal said, that the prime challenge is choosing the right, what are the right CSR activity you have to adopt. So if the startups or entrepreneurial venture start the philanthropist activity, it's up to the discretion of how well they are having a backup of the fund. So environment sustainability, supply chain management, employee voluntary program. Initially, they have to sustain their organization, and once they have sustainability in the organization, eventually, as per the law, Section 135 of One Companies Act 2013 mentioned that if you meet the certain criterion, then you have to move it on to adopt the following practices. So it is up to the mark of the organization, how well they are, and what activities their board, their member have to select to adopt this. This vary from organization to organization. Financial abilities, financial stability of organization, it determines how well we are to serve these amount or consider what amount or what activities for CSR activities.
I think that's great. I think the question is answered, and I think we have one more question from Toleshwar also. I think in Pakistan, which area is majority contributor under CSR funds?
In Pakistan, yes, in Pakistan, organization like Habib Group is one of the major contributor in the Pakistan economy. They have developed the Habib Hospital, Habib Medical Centers, Habib Universities, Habib Colleges, and they are going to. These are main contributor, Habib Group. Similarly, the Lucky Group is one of the biggest group in Pakistan who is going to contribute in the Pakistan economy. The Lucky Group is now having a venture with the Samsung Samsung Korea, building the. So they have an inside Lucky Cement. They have an inside welfare organization which look after all the organization, all the area. They have developed a society, Muhammad Ali Society. So they are doing a great job. These two activities. Similarly, the FFBL organization, FFC. So most of the organization in Pakistan also doing these activities, especially the name of Habib Group, Lucky Cement, Yunus Group, Yunus Brothers. So they are having a deep roots from the 70 or 80 years legacy of the business, and they are delivering in Pakistan for the betterment of the Pakistan. Same as finally, I have to name the Dawood Group in Pakistan, the company Dawood Lawrencepoor. So they are also contributing for the betterment of the society. They are developing the streets of the Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad. So these are the activities which are governed by the major organization in Pakistan.
I think most of the questions has been answered. Thank you so much, Mr. Ali Muhammad Usman, for an amazing speech. Please share your email ID if any other questions left. I think questions, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to welcome CS Kiran Goklani, and I request her to commence the speech.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It was lovely hearing you, Mr. Ali Muhammad.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, without taking much of your precious time, I'd like to, convey my part on this topic. As we rightly spoke, CS Sanket rightly spoke that the Tatas and the Birlas and the Ambanis were doing it since years. But the Companies Act was the first law which brought into picture CSR actually. So I would like to just draw your kind attention, everybody. Earlier, the Companies Act didn't have any penal provisions with respect to non-spending of the amount which you are supposed to spend. For example, if the threshold is met as per 135, you have to spend, like Mr. Sanket also mentioned, and the other speaker also mentioned, you have to spend 2% of the average net profits of the last 3 years. In case you're not spending till 2021, there was nothing with respect to any penalization, nothing respect to what should be done. You just have to make a disclosure in the director's report. Following that, an MCA notification dated 22nd of January 2021, wherein now companies are told to put it in the separate account, and if the amount unspent remains there for like 3 financial years, then they have to spend it for disaster relief fund, prime minister relief fund, as the activities or the accounts mentioned in Schedule 7. So I just thought of covering that up for the audience here. Yeah. So coming back to my speech on this topic today, I'd like to throw some light on how startups should take up CSR as, because I think the leading industrialists or the large corporations are absolutely doing their part. Like everybody on the panel also agreed, and I'm sure every member of the audience also agrees that it is their way of giving back to the society, which is giving them business. So, completely agree that large organizations will absolutely do it. But for startups, or for example, if we tell like for small companies or for the companies which have just begun, I'd like to cover up a few things as to why they should consider doing CSR and what impact it would have on them. First of all, it will give them a brand loyalty. For example, like Zomato has got a brand loyalty by coming into market in such a niche market. There were no players in that market, but they have carved a niche for them just by doing simple things, by following CSR, by following certain activities which are working for them wonderfully. So I think it will help these guys build a brand loyalty and image in the society, thereby bringing me to the next point. It will help them recruit and retain staff, because as we all know now, recruitment and retention has become a very big problem with the generation coming up now. So I would say this point will help them as a sustainable company, as a socially responsible company. They'll easily be able to recruit and to retain talent. The third thing is to attract investors. I'll cover up a few examples I've got covered up with VCs who are interested in socially responsible companies. So I'll cover up that portion later to prove my point that you will be able to attract investors, because nowadays sustainable companies, anything related to renewable energy, waste management, the because of the advent of the green finance and the green banking, now we can see many investors are moving towards this thing, because it will give them two-way thing. One is the financial aspect, other is an environmental aspect as well. Now, I'd like to cover some of the case studies which I've jotted down. I've jotted down four of them. Like I already mentioned about Zomato's Feeding India initiative. So what Zomato does is, in this initiative, the food wastage which happens during the food delivery or when the order gets cancelled, they have associated with an organization. It's an external organization wherein they donate the excess food instead of wasting it, instead of throwing it out. Thereby, Zomato is achieving two things. One is, the thing which they are achieving is that they can control their wastage. Second, they are coming as a socially responsible organization as well, which helps them in order get a brand value or a brand loyalty as well. And some brownie points for, of course, not wasting food. Yeah. Second, I'd like to talk about Oyo Group. So, what Oyo did in COVID-19, that they gave free hotel rooms to stay for the frontline workers. Thereby, एक brand image तो बनी ही बनी Oyo Group की, but they were able to make use of the rooms which were not being used by the company. They were of no use to them. So instead of incurring loss, they tried to, give it to for free to frontline workers, and thereby earning a very good brand image. We all spoke about Tata Group this evening a lot. So I'll just put one thing here. Tata Group, like Mr. Sanket also mentioned, Tata Group का एक अच्छा advantage क्या है? Because they choose remote locations in India because of cost reasons, they set up industries there. So to increase employability, to increase the staff which will get training there, and thereby they'll get a easy recruit, thereby they'll get a easy human resource. So what they do is instead of focusing on education, they focus on skillability. They enhance the skill of the person living near and around the factory, near and around the premises, thereby giving them two benefits. One is employ at a good rate or at a good distance, and then second, it gives them that they have done their CSR also. So of course, the brand image doesn't go without saying. I wouldn't be saying much about Tata Group. Then the fourth case study we'll cover here is Goonj. There's a social entrepreneur which runs this foundation by the name of Goonj. They recycle e-waste, they recycle the batteries, the resources, and then they make it in a product and then use it in low income households in the rural areas. Their prime focus is rural areas. So Goonj is also a very critical case, a very beautiful case which they've done. Now, I'd like to tell the audience that how CSR can be used as a strategic tool for growth. So one which all of us agreed is it brings you a long term sustainability. जिसको लंबा रहना है इस commercial state में, तो it will give you a long term sustainability for sure in the market, in the industry. It gives you a respect as a company as well. Second, I would like to cover an example of Selco India as a social entrepreneur in India. So Selco, what they do is generally what people are focusing is they provide solar energy or solar power in the commercial sectors, in the urban areas. But what Selco India did, they concentrated in the rural area. They are giving at a very economical rate in the rural areas the solar power generation they are doing. So Selco India has created this social entrepreneurship wherein they are serving both the purposes. Their purpose is to create solar generation, but their concentration, their target audience is very different from what the typical market players are doing. Then I'd like to cover the third point here is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So the government of India started an initiative by the name of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. However, there were many private organizations involved in various localities of India. India being so diverse and so rich in heritage. So people across India, many organizations which were private, join hands with the government of India in this initiative. We can see many advertisements, many posters, many banners in this regard. So it will help you to create a public-private partnership as well. Now, I'd like to cover one point here, and then we can go ahead with questions. Like I mentioned, I'll tell you some examples of impact-based investment firms which are looking out for organizations which consider CSR or which will run around CSR. Like they cover CSR as a prime focus. So I'll take out three names here, which I've researched on. One is Avishkar Capital. They have invested recently in AgriSnet and they have invested in Nepra. So AgriSnet provides tech for small farmers. For example, the tractors and the whatever tools are required for a agricultural purpose, they provide technology-based products to small farmers. And they've luckily got investment from Avishkar Capital. Likewise, I'd like to tell about OMDR Network India. It's a social impact investment firm. They've recently invested in OneBridge. OneBridge, what it does is it completely looks after providing rural people the access of the internet. For example, one case study which I got to know on OneBridge's website that people in rural areas in India have to travel daily 10 kilometers to withdraw a 5 rupees 100 note from an ATM. So OneBridge has successfully resolved that issue. So they've also got their investment from OMDR Network India. The third I'd like to cover is LAR Equity. LAR Equity is also an impact-based venture capital firm which recently have invested in Varthana. Now, Varthana, they provide education to people who stay in rural areas. So they've got the investment from LFR equity. So here I would like to conclude with my concluding remarks that startups can think about taking CSR not as an obligation, but as a way of their giving back to the society, and ultimately they'll also reap benefits of it in the long run. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody, and now we can proceed with questions if any. Thank you.
Firstly, Kiranji, that was quite insightful. Even multiple of the companies you mentioned or cases are the ones I'm hearing for the first time. I think most of the professionals in this meeting have the same opinion. Although you did a good research and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I would like to invite the audience to put forth their questions, if any, by
Sure.
raising your hands one by one.
Absolutely. Yes.
Any questions? आई गेस किरण जी ने इतने केस स्टडीज मेंशन किए हैं कि लोगों को ग्रास्प करके मतलब डाइजेस्ट करने में थोड़ा टाइम लग रहा है.
No problem.
We'll come up with the questions slowly. Any
Sure,
questions?
no problem.
Specifically, anyone? Haripriya?
Yes. Meanwhile, the audience put their questions. I have a few questions to
Yes,
ask.
please.
So, in the light of complexity surrounding the stakeholder engagement in the ESG initiative, how can startups effectively balance the diverse interest of various stakeholders, customers, investors, communities, while developing a cohesive and impactful ESG strategy?
I think it's a very good question. I think budgeting would help out here. Like we talk about startups, they are very, strict and stringent on their budgets. I think budgeting would quite help them a lot. They can utilize their resources. Like in startups, what generally people do, they utilize their resources properly, and I think budgeting could really help the startups. Pursue all of the things they want to pursue. Yeah.
Right. And this concept of greenwashing has been more prevalent these days. And what measures can entrepreneurs implement to ensure these ESG claims are credible and verifiable, thereby fostering trust among the consumers and investors as well?
I think by selecting by researching properly as to what do they want to pursue, and then they can proceed in this.
I think all the questions are wonderfully answered. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat box, Kiranji, if you can just have a
Yeah.
look there.
How startup do CSR, that CSR impact will also help their brand image. I think this we already covered in my speech, and I already mentioned, but I'll still cover out for you. I mentioned the benefits that startup could have. I mean, we saw Zomato. They are a very, recent, people who are making a lot of noise these days. So we should really think. I already mentioned we should think that startups should see the benefits in the long run and try to budget and try to inculcate these all activities which help them get a brand loyalty, which help them in the long run.
That's great. Any other questions anyone has? You may just unmute yourself and ask one by one.
Hi, Kiran ma'am.
Hi, Ishan.
Hi. Your speech was really, really good. It was empowering and insightful.
Thank you.
With
Thank
so
you.
many data points actually which covered startups. I really liked it. And you have an amazing smile which also kept us glued to the screens.
Thank you so much, Ishan.
Please do share your LinkedIn ID as well. I would love to connect
Sure.
all the speakers here.
Sure.
Yeah, and I don't have a question. It is I'm just trying to understand if my way of thinking towards CSR is correct. So recently there was a wave of news going on where a Zomato founder drove as a rider and delivered
Yes.
right to the food
Yes.
places, and then he also went to the mall, and
Yes.
there he found that there is no escalators for the Zomato people, right? And then he wrote a letter and something. So do you think that such an activity which is not related to CSR but doing something kind of for their workers also brings a person to light, and then it can be turned towards a CSR activity, like giving them a proper restrooms. By restrooms, I'm not saying washrooms. I'm saying proper restrooms, because these drivers really drive a lot the whole day.
Yeah.
So can these be molded towards the CSR activity? Because this was, of course, the initiative was great, but somewhere it was also a marketing tactic because Swiggy, of course, everyone knows about it. But then
Mm.
it was a great initiative because obviously Swiggy, after putting 25 CR, also
Mm.
couldn't grab that eyeballs which Zomato did. So
Yeah.
you think it can be turned into a CSR activity over the period of time?
Yeah, of course, Isha. It is a very beautiful insight. Like we see it now, I don't know how people see it. It was a publicity stunt or whatever people call it. But I mean, when the founder, when the upper management comes into the ground to see what all problems the delivery person faces, I think it will help them a lot in making future decisions. Like you mentioned that they can give them some rest rooms or they can give them some access to, I mean, just rest after 2, 3 deliveries or after 4 deliveries, let's say. I think the upper management or the founders get a lot of insight when they actually see what's happening on the ground. So it brings them very close to the employees and feeling their problems. Otherwise, when you sit in the boardrooms and just make decisions without knowing what's going on in reality, I mean, it's very different. The decisions and the things are very different if you look at it from the upper position. But however, I don't know if what was it, a publicity stunt or something, but it actually attracted quite a few eyeballs here and there. Yeah.
Thank you.
And anyways, Zomato हो या कोई भी, we have very innovative directors nowadays. Everyone trying to
Yeah.
inculcate some kind of marketing into CSR.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other questions that we have from the audience? You may simply raise your hands and put it forward. Lukesha, no questions today? Okay. Yeah, Debayan Day has a question, I guess.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi, good evening.
Can you kindly highlight the aspects of supply chain management that are associated with CSR activities that might be?
I am sorry, but I would refrain to answer that, and I'm not very aware of how the supply chain goes. But I can just tell you that, like CS Sanket also mentioned, the channels through which CSR can be done. The company can do it in-house, or company can do its research and engage with an agency and enter into a contract and then do it via them. So I don't know how the supply chain goes in this. However, there are two modes of doing it with proper research and with whatever budget the company has, depending on the scale on which it is operating. It can choose its way.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. No other questions then? That's it?
I think we have one more question in the chat box.
Okay. Kiranji, if you can just check on the chat box once.
I'm so sorry, I can't see any question. Can anybody read out for me?
Sure. Haripriya?
Yes, this question is from Advocate P. Vanilla Naidu. Suppose Zomato decides to expand its CSR initiative into rural areas to address issues like food security and sustainable agriculture. What legal considerations would you need to take into account to ensure compliance with the Companies Act 2013? And how could you structure these initiatives to maximize impact while adhering to regulatory requirements?
So, if we see the Companies Act and the Schedule 7 mention certain activities in which only you can make utilize your CSR funds. So, Zomato has already, I think, rightly covered food, which is already a part of the Schedule 7 activity. So, they are doing right with respect to whatever they are doing right now. Now, coming back to the question that how would they do it in the rural areas? So, if at all they try to move in the rural areas and try to use the same technique, let's assume the same technique, Feeding India initiative, which they are already operating in, they'll try to save the food wastage and thereby, making a lot of utilization of CSR funds over there. Secondly, I think like they've chosen the right schedule activity from Schedule 7, so I think they have complied with this thing. However, proper disclosures in the director's report are to be mentioned as and when they go for this. Yeah.
That's the point too. So, any more questions from the audience? Isha ji, do you have a question? or is it your hand raised from the previous question only? Okay, sure. I guess it's a mistake. Okay. Thank you for your amazing